some of the things that are said about Trudeau are absolutely appalling. He's not a bad man. You might not like his politics. Fine, vote for another party. You might think he hasn't been a good prime minister. Fine, get rid of him. But the abuse and the attacks, the personal attacks on this man, absolutely unacceptable what has been said about him. And also the things that are said about conservative leaders. Pierre Poilievre, I mean, I've met him, I don't know him, but what the left says about him sometimes, the man is not a racist. He's not homophobic. He's a conservative leader. I disagree with some of his policies, but for goodness sake, to blanket him with all of these isms, you're this and you're that. He's not a fascist, for goodness sake. He's a conservative leader, a quite right-wing conservative leader. Disagree with him, but don't abuse and insult simply because you dislike what you think is someone's politics.
Is there a form that pundits and experts have to sign ensuring that every single thing gets both-sided? It's so utterly nauseating and pathetic, and the Reverend sure seems to have signed such a form on your show. You and Michael went to both sides. Who is evil anyway? Coren talked about who's a bad person. He said he doesn't believe there's a lot of bad people in politics. Mm-hmm. And I basically said to him, well, how do you define who's bad? What does bad mean? So we explored that. Gabriel says, like we need to talk to each other and hold hands and sing Kumbaya and the world will be a better place. He says, you remember that John Kelly, the really woke U.S. general who worked for Donald Trump, called him a fascist this week. But no, I guess Reverend Coren probably knows better because it's like unkind and unchristian to call people that or something, right? Says Gabriel. Says Trudeau and Pierre Poilievre are just different sides of the same coin. You and your guests will gaslight us to believe. I don't know where Gabriel's getting this. Like, I'm going to the wall for Pierre Poilievre. Number one, what the fuck are you talking about? But back to your email. He says, not everything's the same and equal. There is not both sides to every freaking issue. Right? I've rarely, if ever, heard on your show or anywhere else loud critique and analysis of how power exists and exerts itself in all of these dynamics. I don't believe it's necessary to be friends with people who have such wildly divergent views of the world and the people in it. He says maybe it's easy for you and your golfing buddies to have some beers and shoot the shit about your opinions because most of the political movement in Canada and the U.S. will do little to affect you all personally. I mean, he doesn't know anything about my friends, but still, he says, I don't have that luxury. And I also don't have the power or convictions or connections not to have a conviction that some things are in fact right and some things are wrong. But in 2024, with unfettered access to information, we have compared to all of history to make cover and both sides people who want political power to make life worse for people, deny climate change, stump for chemtrails. I guess it's fine. Both sides bitches. The dismissal and ignoring that power exists in society for some, but does not exist for most, is very white, very old stock, and punditry that constantly both sides, everything is equal and opposite, is pathetic and spineless, says Gabriel. But hey, you want real talk, right?